Any of you notice the night sky at all this week? Who looked up? I hope so. A very rare alignment of Jupiter and Venus in the western sky. This is a picture just outside of Bragg Creek by a photographer named Alan Dyer. The bright one is Venus. The less bright one is Jupiter. Venus is 40,000 kilometers or so away. Jupiter is 750 million, 40 million kilometers away. Jupiter is 750 million kilometers away. Tell me you saw that. And they were like 3 degrees off, right? That was the kind of lunar or astronomical rarity. When you saw it, how did it make you feel? For me, I felt like a little boy. I'd watched on the news for a couple of days that this was coming, and then all of a sudden you remember, it's almost scary to think you could have forgotten that night, and then you go out the front door and you look to the western sky, and there they are, right? And you feel like a little boy a bit, and kind of filled with wonder and caught up in the moment. And then being the extrovert that I am, I can't process how I feel, so I run in and get Fran and pull her out, and we stand in the chill of the night. I say, look at this, and she usually comes begrudgingly, but she was happy this time, wasn't she, that I dragged her out there? So after the awe and the wonder and the youth, I then felt held. The Earth is spinning slowly on its axis, and Jupiter in its huge elliptical orbit is doing its thing, as Venus is doing its, and nothing is straying. And it's all working. And then I felt, always go theological, always go Christocentric on it, Christ kind of blanketing me, holding everything in the cosmos by His Spirit, holding me by His Spirit in here, in me. Christ in me, connected with Christ in, behind, before, around, and through the universe. The Gospel of John, chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, capital W, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning, and through Him all things were made. Without Him, nothing was made that has been made. In Him was life, and that life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John the Baptist, and he came as a witness to testify concerning the light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light, he came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through Him, the world did not recognize Him. He came to that which was His own, and yet they did not receive Him. And yet to all who did receive Him, to those who believed in His name, He gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision, nor of a husband's will or a wife's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. And we have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John the Baptist testified concerning Him. He cried out, saying, "This is Him of whom I said, 'He who comes after me has surpassed me because He was before me.' Out of His fullness we have all received grace in place of grace already given. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is Himself God, and is in closest relationship with the Father, has made him known. Christianity 101, Jesus makes God known. Jesus is God with us. God came to his world in a human body. God became incarnate, took on flesh. No one has ever seen God but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in closest relationship with the Father, has made him known. God's heart in doing that is for you to know God. Everything that God is doing in and through Christ is so that you, all of us, can come to know God. And the best way for that to happen in the wisdom of God is for God to come to us in a human body through a human baby boy grown up, living, dying, living again. Through that kind of enfleshed story is God's best way, so that he could know your condition and my condition in every way. That which he has not assumed, he has not healed. So God's best way was this way, that Jesus would enter into the creation that he made and live and die and live with us. His creation, we just read. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him, now the negative, nothing was made that has been made. Jesus entered into the material world that he made. The same Jesus who saves you made you and made everything. The Jesus who forgave me in a powerful, numinous way some 20 years ago, conceived of me and made the world, the cosmos in which I dwell. Even as he made my eyes new and my ears new and my heart soft and not hard anymore, and gave me life so that I could know him, he's making his cosmos, his world, everything, all things new. The Jesus who holds your heart holds everything. And the two things are connected. I mean, John connects them in that passage I just made. I didn't make that. Oh, I'm going to get struck down for that. Didn't mean that. The book you wrote and made. But he puts both ideas in the same first 14 verses of those 18 I read, that God came to us incarnate to make us new, our hearts, our souls, our bodies, our minds new, and he made everything. Why connect the two has been my question all week. And the conclusion I'm coming to is because I believe that God is most fully known when we understand Jesus being materially operative in both capacities. Incarnate and the maker of all flesh and everything. Jesus helps us to know God from two directions. He frees our material, made by God, receptive capacities, perceptive capacities, new eyes, new heart, new life, tears. I can know God. He does that in you, however he's done that in you or is doing that in you. And he mediates the pulsing truth that fills the whole cosmos, that says something of who he is and who God is. And he does both in order to fully say, reveal, make known who God is. The whole earth is filled with his glory. The angels and everything in the heavens now are crying glory. When you sing the word glory, when you think it now, you are doing it in concert and in harmony with things and powers and beings and saints before you in a way that you have no idea. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We've seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Grace and truth. Grace. By grace, he saves me. He saved you. He saved your soul. He took on a body to really understand how desperately impossible it is for a mere mortal to make their way back to God, to understand everything you go through, every temptation, every painful moment, every suffering, to know so that he could save it all. Tempted in every way, but didn't sin. And then knowing that it was impossible for you, for me, for us, he made it possible through a gift, a grace gift, salvation. You can't do it. You've hit bottom. You realize, I cannot do this, God, on my own. I need help. Help me. And he gives it to you freely, everything, eternal life. Not by works, but by grace. Grace and truth, grace. And when you get that, and we get that many times, I think, in our lives, you sigh and you smile and you cry. Me? You? And gratitude. Me? You? Unmerited, lovingly offered by God for you.